So my next opponent or opponents this year, we're just looking at fights to kind of get me into that later round, because I feel like with Usyk, I feel like I've got a better skill set than him, but I feel like towards the later rounds, he'll just outdo me, because I've never been in that sort of...
Turkey Al-Sheikh wants to see Moses Ituma in there with Usyk next. I mean, I think that's a bit far-fetched, isn't it, really, considering where he is at this point in his career. He's still so young and inexperienced.
I think that's a dreadful fight for Moses Ituma. The boy's not been past 6 rounds, I don't think, or 7 rounds, and I just think to throw this kid in to the wolves at this stage so early in his career, I just don't get. He's a young man, let him develop the same as every other fighter, let him learn his trade.
It almost feels like fighters are put on fast forward now. They don't have the time, they're not allowed the time to build
This is one man's opinion.
Yeah, fair.
This is one man's opinion.
But boxing fans do kind of want to see.
Well, they will be, as long as you allow them to be spoiled by this one man. And I think Turkey Al-Sheikh's been brilliant for boxing. I really do. I think he's revitalised the game.
We're going to come on to his plans to get rid of pay-per-view and...
he's reinvigorated the game, but one man can never control boxing, the whole of boxing, and that's not my opinion.
I think he's a good kid. I've said in the past that I think he can be a champion, and I do think, just like I said with Jared Anderson, I think Jared and Moses are very, very both good fighters. However, there's a lot of temptation, there's a lot of stuff outside of boxing that makes fighters not achieve what they should have done. And it's the same old story, if I woulda, shoulda, coulda. If I didn't get involved with these people, if I didn't go out and drink, if I didn't get involved with this, that and the other, then I would have, if I woulda, shoulda, coulda. That's why I can sit here today and say I always wanted to not be a woulda, shoulda, coulda guy. I am the guy who did everything he could. And they're only starting off a career, so if they can stay on the right path and away from all the idiots, away from the women, away from the drunken nights, away from all the cranks, then I believe both of them can go on and win well.
You must have a view of what level you're at now.
If you want my honest opinion, I think if my skill set, if you're talking about my ring IQ and what I display in the ring, I feel like I am the best in the world, but I haven't displayed the later rounds. That's all what I kind of want to get ticked off.
It's for the vacant title. Whoever, could be forever. If it's a vacant title, like who are the contenders? Hergovic if he wins, Moses if he wins, Dillian Whyte if he wins.
Do you like the fight against Moses?
For me, Moses is the future of the heavyweight division. For Moses, it's a risky fight. For Joe, it's a risky fight because there's no upside to beat Moses for Joe. There is. He's building his name. He's a significant heavyweight now, Moses, but he's an up-and-coming guy, and Joe's already at the top. So there's a risk for Joe, but there's a risk for Moses that he fights Joe, and there's never the same again coming back from it. You know, if Joe has his way and if we have a way, but it's a risky fight for both men, and it's an exciting fight. Maybe it's for the vacant title. It would be worth it. It'd have to be worth it. You know what I mean? So
boxing fans love a knockout artist, and Moses Ituma, he's delivering them like clockwork. At just 20 years old, he's unbeaten, untested beyond 6 rounds, and already being whispered in the same sentence as Alexander Usyk, the undisputed heavyweight king. But is the hype racing ahead of reality? Let's be honest, Ituma's rise has been electric. 3 fights, 3 knockouts, all inside 2 rounds. Mariusz Wach, Dempsey McKean, Mike Bellew, all flattened. The kid has power, speed, and frightening composure for his age. But now, some are calling for a showdown with Usyk.
It's a good fight, actually, especially for Moses. I think it's a very good time to fight Dillian. He's had a couple of years out the ring. But, you know, make no mistakes, Dillian Whyte is a massive puncher to head and body. I know he's taking it very serious. I'm speaking to Ty Mitchell, who's in training camp with him. And looking forward to the fight. You know, it's a big step up for Moses because he hasn't really fought anybody on Dillian's level. The old Dillian, it was a couple of years ago. And it's going to be interesting to see how much that Dillian Whyte has left. And could this be potential? I think it does have the potential to do what Martin McCauley did to Jared Anderson. Maybe it's too early, or maybe he passes with flying colours. And that's why you got to watch it and find out. But one thing I will say about Moses is He's a very good fighter, good little boxer, good puncher, and a lovely kid as well. It's like a sponge. You tell him something, he absorbs it and he listens. And that's the great thing about the young kids who's coming up. And he's only 20 years old. I told him a few years ago, forget about breaking records, take your time, you've only got one career, and just enjoy it, because I remember when I was 19, 20, and now 36 has gone like that.
Didn't mention Moses Ituma, but I don't know if Moses Ituma is quite ready yet. Said Joseph Parker. I think that's a great fight. Joseph Parker's here. Didn't manage to catch him, but I think that's a great fight. If that one can get made up, and if Usyk wants to carry on boxing, then how can you go against him, man? You can't back him. Can't back against him with anyone out there right now. That was a brilliant performance. You know, Daniel Dubois is supposed to be the next coming, the future. Beat this guy, beat this guy, beat this guy. The bigger, stronger, aggressive fighter, and he got obliterated, really, which is, you know, Brits, we want him to win. Daniel Dubois, I've known him since he was a kid, or I'd certainly known of him since a kid, boxed out of my amateur boxing club. But, you know, just as a former fighter, boxing purist, boxing fan, you can only appreciate Alexander.
Given that you are such an admirer of his and you appreciate the skill, because you're an appreciator of skill, what makes you think that you've got the toolkit to dethrone him?
I believe wholeheartedly in my ability and what I can do in the ring. I have full confidence that give me a good camp or give me some time to put in the work with Andy Lee and George Lockhart. I want to come up with a good game plan, probably different to everyone else's one, and just work hard.
But given you have had one round since March 24, is it the right move for you to take this opportunity rather than having a fight in between it to get yourself into a situation where you're really in the zone?
That is a good question, because I've had one fight in 2024, one this year, and activity is key, and he's been very busy, Usyk.
What is the reason behind you only having one round, Joe? Like, politics of the sport?
I have no idea.
You've been knocking on the door,
I've been knocking on the door, I've been asking for any fight and every fight. Who knows, right?
Moses is at a stage now where where I feel that he, every fight he's had, we're increasing the quality of the opposition, and he's ready for the next big step up, and it has to be against a recognisable name.
So is this, let me make it a supposition that this is potentially going to happen, and you don't have to comment on it, but is it the kind of fight that you want to see Moses in now?
Yes. Yeah.
And if it were Dillian, what does it say about Dillian? Is it the sort of fight that he would really fancy?
Well, if the fight took place, then obviously he would fancy it.
Do you think it's the right fight for both of the guys at this stage of their careers, Frank? Because they're at the opposite ends of their careers, aren't they? But do you think it makes sense for both guys?
Look, Dillian's in the business. He obviously wants paydays, but he wants another shot at the title, and he wants to get himself into a position to do that. And for him, looking at all the fighters, all the organisations, you look at Moses. Moses is ranked #1 now by the WBO. So if he were to fight Moses, then that puts him in the #1 spot. If he were to beat
Tony Bellew, Roy Jones Jr., and Andy Lee have all spoken out, warning that it's too soon. Usyk isn't just any champion. He's a generational technician who's handled the likes of Joshua and Dubois with ease. Putting a 20-year-old in there now could backfire badly. Ituma has yet to go through adversity in the ring. He hasn't fought a war. He hasn't been forced to adapt. And when you step in with a fighter like Usyk, you don't get a second chance. That's why the Dillian Whyte fight on August 16th is so important. Whyte brings power, experience, and danger. He may be past his best, but he's battle-tested.
Talking about heavyweights, I don't know how much you've seen of him, this 20-year-old prodigy that we have in Moses Ituma. Incredible speed, agility, power, explosiveness. He's got a fight with Dillian Whyte coming up in Riyadh on August 16th. How much have you seen of Moses? What do you make of him?
Haven't seen a lot of him. I have seen small clips of him, but he is fighting a good fight with Dillian Whyte right now. This is the fight he needs to get that extra experience. So once he gets a few more experience fights, then you put him in Usyk. You can't do like they did with the other kid, Big Baby from the U.S., and put him in too early because you're ruining him. You understand me? You can't put him in too early like that. So if you give him a few more test runs, Dillian Whyte is a great test run for him. If he does that, give him something a little bit higher than that, Then you let him fight Usyk. Don't just rush him right to Usyk right now. Let Joseph Parker fight Usyk right now. Joseph Parker is in Usyk's time. This kid is coming up behind Usyk. When Usyk retires, this kid.
He's got a lot of experience. He's a former world champion. He's big for the the weight class. He's athletic, and he's coming off a 3-fight win streak that rivals any one of the top contenders right now. He KOs Martin Bakole in his last fight. He beat Zhilei Zhang before that, and Deontay Wilder before that. If anyone deserves a shot, it's Joseph Parker, and it's just unfortunate.
Where are you? Do you see that fight ever happening? Because I think that's one of the fights that Alexander Usyk shouldn't take. Moses Ituma, but I also don't think it's right for Moses at this moment in time.
Well, listen, let's start off with Alexander Usyk is a fight where you get to a stage where you're in the twilight of your career, and he's probably going to have one more fight if he has one more fight, and that's possibly this man here. But you go at some point,
which by the way he's earned.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. But at this, when you got the young kids coming through, it would be a disaster for Moses Ituma to take a fight against Alexander Usyk now, because you've got a kid that's going to potentially be, the next dominant force of heavyweight boxing. For then maybe
obviously he's a competitor, he's a rival. He's the young one that's getting a lot of attention and blasting people out. You just landed in the heavyweights, Lawrence. When you think of Moses Ituma, what do you think of?
I think of pretty much what everyone else is saying. Obviously I've sparred him, I've seen him, and it's not fake. Like, it hasn't come from out of thin air. The guy's actually really good at boxing, I'll be honest with you.
Yep.
So we have to obviously wait and see how he does the rounds, see how it is under pressure of fight nights. But ultimately, from everything that I know of him, he's got a good mindset, and he is someone that if I was just looking as a fan, I would get behind at this early stage, because to be 20 and doing the stuff that he's doing,
a perfect test for Ituma. Win that fight impressively, and the world will pay even closer attention. But it's also a reality check. Can Moses handle resistance? For now, let's appreciate what he is. Wow, a generational talent in development. He might become the face of heavyweight boxing, but there's no need to gamble everything on one early jump. Patience might be the secret weapon that makes Moses Ituma a legend. Not just a headline. Let us know what you think. Should Ituma wait or go for Usyk now? Drop your take in the comments and hit that subscribe button for more breakdowns, match previews, and honest boxing insight.